Have you ever just taken a step back and say, wow, that happened recently, but it feels like it's so far away? Remember, Philadelphia won a Super Bowl recently, and it feels like, no, it feels like it's been over 5 years away, or 5 years ago. It feels like it's way in the past. Heck, the Rams winning their Super Bowl against the Bengals seems closer. Funny how that things work. And now they come in and AJ Brown's traded. Oh, the best kept secret. I have a friend, a teammate of mine. We're both on the football team together. He's a DB. And he's a diehard Eagles fan. And for every weekend we have our games, I always say, you know AJ Brown's going to New England, right? You know AJ Brown is going to New England. I feel like an old man saying, get off my lawn! Just tell him, everyone knew. It's the best kept secret that we did not know. So, well, hey everybody, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic, and welcome back. In case it wasn't obvious, today we're continuing our 2026 draft recap. I am full of excitement to mock this team, but I must respect them for what they have. Today we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles 2026 draft class, a team that I think they have gotten better by dropping off the dead weight, which was AJ Brown. And we'll talk about it shortly. So, Philadelphia. Well, watch my recap video, and it's still pretty fresh in Eagles' minds. Yeah, a lot of question marks. And I can't help but feel like that for a team that is supposed to be division representative, I feel like there are more pitchforks and torches aimed at your guys than other teams that probably should. Tampa. So for you, heck, I think, I think you're probably one of the more successful franchises that have the biggest death stares at you went to 2 Super Bowls, you won 1, but I don't trust you. And you don't know why. But maybe because Philadelphia fans just have this thing where it's like, if we show that we're satisfied, it will limit the pressure of our Philadelphia teams. The Sixers, the Flyers, the Phillies, Eagles. If we show that we are satisfied as fans, you will stop trying to be better. So it's the honor of Philadelphia fans, which I am not, just been to that city multiple times, that we must keep our assholeness to make sure you guys play better. And when the draft happened, a lot of questions was AJ Brown, because people thought that he was going to be traded before the draft. It makes sense. Or during the draft. Funny enough, I think that's what happened to him last time from Tennessee to Philadelphia. I think he was traded during the draft, but then Tennessee got Burks. Never living that down. And I think the Eagles made a decision that basically says, yeah, not today, not tomorrow, but we will be making that subtraction to our team. And I think Philadelphia got the best wide receiver, and I was so thankful the Saints didn't get him, because I don't want to play this dude twice a year. So, with the 20th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles selected Makai Lemon, wide receiver USC, the Beltikoff Award winning. That is the best WR in college. And the Saints, I kept saying that Lemon is the pick if I was the Saints. Get Lemon. And I am so glad they didn't. I'd rather play Lemon potentially once, maybe twice a year, every other time, than to guarantee twice a year against this young man. So when Lemon was picked up by Philadelphia, it 100% submitted that AJ's gone. Now, Philadelphia could be like, no, we're going to have AJ, Smith, and Lemon. We're going to have our own three-headed monster with Dallas at the tight end and Barkley running the ball. But I just can't help but feel like as some teams, like maybe the Chiefs or the Patriots, will try to run that back for at least 1 year to see if these extra talent can do it, I can't help but feel like similar to what Philadelphia did with Terrell Owens, in that sometimes you start learning who you can and can work with. And for whatever reason, it just feels like everyone in that organization, from player to staff to coaches, no matter what they said in front of the cameras or what was gossip behind it, it just felt that we need to start playing for other people. We need to start, that it wasn't a bad breakup. It just felt like the inevitable. And honestly, for both franchises, I think they're both in a better place. AJ's in New England. He's with a coach that actually was the coach that was with him when he got drafted. And, May is probably a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. We'll see. So yeah, mutual understanding, and Lemon going to Philadelphia. I feel like it's always cool or very exciting for talented players to be drafted to a team that is already considered a contender. Lemon's going to a franchise that just won a Super Bowl recently, won the division. So it's not like it's not like he's going to Cleveland or the Colts or the Saints. He's not going to a team that may have an upside, maybe not. He's going to a team that's like, nah, we're number one. We're supposed to be number one, so you better not slow us down, young man. So Lemon going to, dude, he's even positioned as the number one receiver, top 10 overall. Maybe because he was 5'11". Maybe because the Saints wanted a 6+ guy. I don't know. But Lemon going to Philadelphia, like I said, as a Bucs fan, thank goodness. The rest of the NFC East, damn it. So, they addressed the receiver. Good. So now we can focus on other fundamentals, like maybe get our pass rush department up. But no. In the second round, with the 54th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles selected Eli Stowers, tight end Vandy. I thought he was going to come to Tampa. Even though I knew we were probably not going to address tight end that early anyway. But somehow I feel like maybe he'll fall. He didn't. So, back to Philadelphia again. No disrespect to Dallas Goedert, but Dallas Goedert has been, he's been here since 2018. He has proven himself time and time again. I feel like very much how some teams have a 2 running back system, maybe a 3 rotation. Sometimes you need that same thing with your tight end. And with Dallas and Eli, Dallas has proven time and time again that whatever going on with a wide receiver department, whether due injuries or failure productivity, Dallas seems at times to come out to go above and beyond that. Kind of like a Greg Olsen and Carolina type thing, where sometimes he is the guy, even though he's technically a tight end, and that's considered a disrespect somehow. Eli coming in is just like what the Bills did when they had Knox. Then they got Kincaid, and I kind of felt like it still worked in their favor. Of course, Dallas probably the go-to guy, but this is for the future. Dallas Dallas was with Philadelphia in 2018. And we are in 2026, so it's been almost a good 10 years. So this is, to me, not an investment for the future, as in, we just want to give ourselves another weapon in that position, since somehow Jalen Hurts likes throwing to the tight end more than wide receivers. Hopefully that will change. But to me, this does not feel like a replacement pick. This just feels like another viable weapon. Because when I look at Eli the same way I look at, like, the Jimmy Graham. This guy just happened to play tight end, but he's a receiving threat. Honestly, I think Eli is probably the better tight end in the class. I know. Kenya Sadiq went to the Jets. If you would, I think Eli is, to me, a much better prospect than him. So, then we go to the third round with the 68th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. The Philadelphia Eagles selected Markel Bell, offensive tackle, Miami, Florida. Now, the Eagles' offensive line at one point was probably the heart and soul of it. Lane Johnson is still a big name. You remember Jason Kelsey. So, I feel like for the Eagles' sake, they really wanted to solidify that back again. Kind of like what the Cowboys did when they had that dominant offensive line when Dak Prescott and Ezekiel were there in the prime. Dak Prescott still slinging. Ezekiel, sadly, is old. But, credit where credit's due. So to me, this feels more like a solidification, the offensive lineman for the future. He's an offensive tackle. Are they moving him? No, they have him behind Jordan on the left side. I thought maybe they'll look at potentially getting as an air replacement to Lane Johnson, but apparently they have him more focused on the left tackle side, which is fine. It's fine. They're still addressing the tackle. Sometimes they move him to guard, but I thought maybe this was the potential replacement for Johnson when the time comes. He calls it a career. So they invest in the future. They invest in depth, and I think that's valuable for them. And for Philadelphia, they have to start preparing for the next wave of young Eagles to eventually carry the load, whether the coaching staff and quarterback are here or not. Speaking of quarterback, clever segue. In the 5th round, we took a break. Nearly 100 picks later, with the 178th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles selected Cole Payton, quarterback, North Dakota State. Jalen Hurts is on the ropes. He's going to lose his job to this young man. No. Jalen Hurts is still the Philadelphia's quarterback, whether Philadelphia fans want to admit it or not. He will be forever Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback unless he pulls either a Carson Wentz or a Joe Theismann. Basically, his productivity dropped so bad they had to cut him, or he gets a devastating injury that basically cripples his normal everyday life. One of those things are going to happen. Until then, Jalen Hurts is still the best bet you guys have to win anything. And give credit where credit's due. When he's on point. Even though you would say a lot of it is the defense and Barkley, that Super Bowl game, Jalen Hurts had to do a lot because Barkley was contained rushing more than anything else. He could have easily been Barkley's game to win. He's ready for some MVP, but it was Jalen Hurts' ability to pass the ball was the reason they won, and that's why I got MVP. So I know Philadelphia fans may not be as, committed to Jalen, but he's been to 2 Super Bowls and got you 1. So some team will probably take that over everything else. And of course, you got Tanner McKay and Andy Dalton as your 2 backups. So Cole Payton is basically just a project player of project players. At best, Cole Payton is more than likely is going to compete for the backup job of Philadelphia. When teams use a draft pick on a quarterback, it always just feels like it's not for this year. It's for the future. And you just can't help but wonder, is it the future for him or the future for the team? The Bucs drafted Kyle Trask out of Florida, 2nd round. And he never took over Tom Brady's job. And the Bucs actually went with Baker Mayfield, who was on a journey of self-discovery and self-fulfillment. And they trusted that guy over the guy they actually drafted to learn under Tom Brady. Maybe they saw, like the last quarterback that trained Brady had, Jimmy Garoppolo, and they said, no thank you. But yeah, he's a quarterback, future development, don't know. Not really going to be a factor this year unless injuries, God forbid, cost him to do it so no. Then we go to the 6th round. With the 207th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles selected Mekhi Morris, offensive guard, UGA. Where they have you. Yep, left guard behind Mike Jordan and Landon Dickerson. They have him there. So, kudos. Development for the future. Offensive lineman for the future development. What more can I say? He'll get his, marks in at preseason, develop well, stay healthy, learn from the bit. Not necessarily be needed to be forced into it. So, good investment for the young man. And who knows? He might be on a team that wins Super Bowl and doesn't have to try much. Congrats. Plus, he's UGA. We all know that Philadelphia loves taking UGA defensive players and forming their own NFL UGA team. So, maybe that's what they're going to do here. Then we go to the 7th round, our last 3 picks. With the 244th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles selected Cole Wysenski, safety, Texas Tech. I hope I pronounced that right. Because if I did, I am very proud. If I didn't, I am so sorry. Safety, Texas Tech. We all know that Blankenship left. I don't think this is an heir apparent. Cooper DeJean is still being viewed as a nickelback. Yeah, I don't see much, but they do have Cole. Okay, so Cole's nickelback, but also Cooper DeJean. I'm sorry. They have Cooper DeJean, pardon me, as a nickelback, but they also have Cooper DeJean as the backup to Epps in strong safety. White guy. Cole, he's viewed as a strong safety, and if Cooper DeJean plays nickel, then basically by a process of elimination, Cole is a third stringer, will be put up to backup behind Marcus Epps. Like I said, I thought maybe this was the replacement for Blankenship, kind of like saying like Dexter Lawrence was with the Giants. It's not about talent, it's about, well, we lost a safety, so let's get another safety in the draft and develop a young man. So to me, we'll see how well it does. Philadelphia has been pretty strong when it comes to their secondary department, when it comes to drafting young men into it. So let's trust the process and see they do it here. I know, saying trust the process in Philadelphia when that was the mantra of the 76ers process during the NBA might come off as condescending, but I'm being sincere by saying trust Philadelphia. They made Cooper and Quinn great, and they drafted them. I mean, they were a high mark, but still, trust them. And then, drama. Cool. Fun. You all know it's coming. Still in the 7th round. With a 251st pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles selected Uar Bernard, defensive tackle. You know this young man. You know who this is. This is the young man that is part Kryptonian, but raised somehow in Themyscira. This guy is literally a demigod. Okay, he's from he's from Nigeria. He's 6'4". Okay. How do I explain this? It's not the first time we've seen NFL teams draft players that were not in college, but there's something there. Bernard's intangibles is what basically sells it. His size, he's playing defensive tackle. He's 6'4", 306. He ran a 4.6-ish 40-yard dash. I don't care what position you are, but if you play a line position and you're 4.6 speed-ish, even as 4.69, that is still very impressive. Yeah, he was part of the International Player Pathway Program reading right here. So yeah, this is a guy that his intangibles are so great, and that's what sells it. This is literally a guy that needed a combine of some kind to get attention. He couldn't just say, look at my tape. They'd be like, what tape? I am rooting for him on the grounds of just... It's another way. It's like when Kurt Warner went to arena football after it was bagging groceries, you know? It's just another successful story to hear of potential talented players, and it goes to that notion that there's more than one way to skin a cat, in a way. There's more than one way to make it to the NFL. Now, granted, you must be given the gods of Olympus to make it, but, Bernard, I am rooting for you. And then to conclude it, literally the next pick in the 7th round, with a 252nd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles selected Keyshawn James Newberry, edge, New Mexico. 9-sack performance. Philadelphia's pass rush has not been valuable as of late. I still feel like they're one of the better defenses, but a lot of the attention goes to Jalen Carter. And there are some time when he's not there, it kind of shows like a gap. I mean, they bought people back just to hopefully fill the void. So we'll see what they're going to do. They run a 3-4 defense. My guess they're going to put Keyshawn, and the weak side linebacker outside. And he's behind a bunch of players, including one former Buccaneer in Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, who is here with Philadelphia after being a Buccaneer first-round pick in 2021. So, don't feel too bad. A lot of people didn't think he was good either, so you might have a chance to make him up the depth chart. But make your splashes in preseason. That's how you get your mark. And for Philadelphia defensive side, if you can consistently get pressure on the quarterback, they'll keep you. They'll find a rush spot for you, and then just develop from there. And that is the whole Philadelphia team. Player I am most excited about is. There's a few players I'm really excited about. But the one, because I was singing his praises before, I'm gonna do it. I want to give it to my Kai Lemon, because I believe he was the best wide receiver. We all have seen players that the first wide receiver that gets picked up, they turn out to be the best receiver in their class. We've seen it. Some of us are still wondering if Marvin Harrison Jr. left Ohio State, because he has not shown up the way that other wide receivers have. Even some from his own university, like Ohio State. Micah Book had a good rookie year. Malik Neighbors, but then some had drop-offs, like Brian Thomas just disappeared out of his second year. We won't know what they really are yet. But sometimes being the first wide receiver selected doesn't necessarily mean you're the best wide receiver selected. Remember, sometimes the system needs to fit the player. I feel like Lemon coming in, whether AJ was going to stay or not, although he was going to leave, but we all felt like if AJ were to stay, Lemon would still be there. Lemon will still be utilized. Maybe now he might get close to 800 yards receiving, but if AJ were to stay, I still feel my kind would have had at least 600 yards easy. I still believe his value to the team would have been great. Grade for Philadelphia. This draft class, everything except for the quarterback for obvious reasons. I still think this draft class makes Philadelphia a little bit more confident in the contender category. I think Philadelphia and this draft class really emphasizes that, whatever happened last year, that was last year. And we have seen this story before. The year before Philadelphia went on to win the Super Bowl, they played Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, and they just looked god-awful. And they got blown up. And then next year, they won them in the Super Bowl. And then, funny enough, same thing happened again. They just looked awful in a playoff game. They just looked bleh. And then, boom. They showed up. So to me, maybe that's what's gonna happen. Maybe this draft class will get that spark. Maybe the A.J. Brown dead weight actually opens the door for conversations and constructive criticism. Who knows? But to me, they're still contenders, and this draft class does not make me even remotely think otherwise. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Philadelphia. Moving right along, we're halfway through. The next team we'll be talking about will be the Washington Commanders. That's right, I'm leaving the Dallas Cowboys for best for last because Jerry Jones wanted to, probably. So next we'll talk about the Washington Commanders, who had the biggest surprise with Daniel's rookie season, and then, wow, gravity hurts in the next year. And now we're back to, let's start from the beginning again. And that's moving next time. But until then, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you so very much for watching.